First up is Christoph van den Ede. Christoph is the Chief Talent Officer for Telenet. He has a very storied career, worked in many different industries. Change is at the center part. I think it's his middle name is Change. So please welcome to the stage, Christoph.
Thank you, Dennis. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. I think we can all agree that we all witnessed tremendous change the last couple of years. And I think we also agree that the next couple of years, the change will even go faster than ever before. The only constant that we will have is change. And as a consequence, it will have an impact also on the way we need to deliver our leadership style. What we see in our organizations is that we are moving from towards a symbiosis between the old pyramidal structures, where they are more focused on efficiency and incremental change, and on the other hand side, a more new network-like structure with more focus on speed and disruptive innovation. And as a consequence, we need to be able to jump from one to the other, because both of them will exist next to each other. And we will have to be and managers and leaders. Managers where we get the authority based upon the position we have into the organization, but leaders because we guide our teams towards a common goal and actively participate. And for me, leadership is about trust. Trust you get from other people. And this is a formula that explains you how to get that trust and keep that trust in the longer time. You need to build up the necessary competence. You need to prove your loyalty towards the team. And finally, you need to show integrity in order to keep that trust over time. But it starts with building the competencies. But before you can start taking care of other people, you need to take care of yourself. And I think as leaders, we should look at ourselves as being corporate athletes. You need to take care of yourself by, for example, sleeping enough. There was an article that was in HPR last week where they showed that top executives tend to sleep more than the average employees. And it was not because they were top executives that they could sleep more. It was because they were conscious of their need for sleep that they were becoming top executives. And you also need to eat healthy. You also need to exercise regularly, both on a mental and physical state, in order to be in shape. And once you get in shape, then you can start working on the next level, which is constantly improving yourself. And to be able to do that, you need to become a learning leader. You need to constantly seek out new perspectives and try to experiment and embrace failure even. Because you need to choose whether or not you continue to learn. And you need to put yourself at the edge of your comfort zone. Getting into that growth mindset is a deliberate choice you have to take. And whether or not you are in the right mindset, you will see that by looking how you react to whatever obstacles life puts in front of you. We as leaders, of course, are also, sorry, we also need to develop a specific learning ecosystem. Because we clearly need to get all the necessary information in order to advance and get new information. And that specific learning ecosystem will be tailored to our specific preferences and our specific needs. So now we know how to take care of ourselves. Next step will be to take care of other people. But how then can we ensure that we get that leadership from the others, that we are accepted to lead them up that steep hill? For me, it's all about motivation. And if you think motivation, it's about putting people into the right flow. And the flow, you find it by balancing as a leader between, on the one hand side, the difficulty of the task, and on the other hand side, the skills that the people have and that are required to do that specific task. If the task is too difficult, then they get frustrated and they will get into a burnout. On the other hand, if it's too easy, they will get bored. There was a fantastic book written by Daniel Pink, I hope you all read it, which is Drive, and he explains in 3 words how you can intrinsically motivate people in order to make sure that they thrive. The first one is purpose, and purpose is more than a vision. It's about explaining to people why they need to be proud of what they're doing, because it's not only benefiting the company and themselves, but it's also benefiting the whole of the world. Second is mastery. Is that as a leader you need to ensure that people have the necessary skills and competences in order to get to that specific purpose. It's a bit like eyeing the top of the mountain, and of course you need to have the necessary climbing gear to get there as well. And third, it's also, and that's probably the most difficult one for leaders, it's about letting go. It's about giving the people the necessary autonomy, because only when they get that autonomy, then they will be able to really fly and use all of their wings. So you need and the purpose, and the mastery, and the autonomy, and then, in fact, it will be quite easy to lead the people. But of course, autonomy doesn't equal total freedom. You, as a leader, need to set the boundaries and to make sure that people understand what are the non-negotiable rules and the values that they need to adhere to. That's your role as a leader. Sorry. And you need to enforce that. You need to make sure that they keep that. And that will take courage. And that courage is necessary because people accept you as a leader only because they expect you to stand up when things will be rough and decisions hard to take. You will have to tackle that elephant in the room, however painful that may be in the future, because at that moment you will avoid problems in the future. And courage is also something that is important into innovation, because as leaders we will be on the top of the food chain, so that means that whenever organizations are changing due to the innovation, clearly our old expertise will become less valuable, so it's dangerous for us. But I know my colleague will be talking more about innovation later on, so I leave that part to him. And finally, like I said, it's about showing integrity. We need to be aware as leaders that we cast some kind of a shadow into our organization and that people are constantly looking at us. They are copying our behavior. We are sort of role models. So we need to be able to walk the talk, but also to talk the walk. I think it's safe to say that we are witnessing the end of the superhero leader. The notion that one leader needs to have all the knowledge and all the expertise within one person. More and more we are moving towards a sort of shared leadership styles where different people are taking one part of the leader's role based upon their specific competences. Because who needs a superhero leader? Because in the end, if you take the final measure of a good leadership, for me it's not about how many problems you have solved or how many followers you had, but more about how many leaders you have created to replace you when it's time for you to move on. Thank you.